Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the momentum shift is what you've been looking for.
My name is Eric Collier. I'm a veteran of the United States Army and Navy. I'm a two-time Amazon International best-selling co-author, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I love helping people, and I love coaching people. And I've done that successfully for over 20 years because I really want to see people win. And there is no greater feeling of joy than to witness someone who has just experienced that aha moment go on and change their lives and start doing what they thought was impossible and turning it into what is possible for them. So my goal, my mission each week is to simply do this: help improve lives. That's all I want to do. Help you improve your life, because you deserve to live in the greatness that is you. Now, every Friday, I want you to be ready. I want you to be ready for either an interview of these incredible people, a solo episode with myself, or maybe a remix of multiple interviews of these incredible, inspiring people. Begin. The goal is simply to help improve lives, and we're going to leave you with some nuggets for success. It's going to help you create that momentum shift that's going to really change your life. I'm really grateful to have you join me. I'm looking forward to having your feedback and helping to improve the show. And the one thing I'm really grateful about is I get to hear your stories of how you created that momentum shift that changed your life. So get ready, because the momentum shift is what you've been waiting for.
When people don't enjoy their jobs, like, it comes out in the outcomes. Like, you're just not going to get good work. But when people love what they're doing, you get like better outcomes. And I think we talked about this before, those two articles. One says that when you hate your job, it negatively impacts your health, right? So it's causing you all these health issues. And when you love your job, you make more money and you make it faster. And so, like, it's just in everybody's best interest that people love their work.
Right. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. You mentioned the attitude on the job. You walk in and it's a gray cloud over the office space. And you're like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
It's kind
yeah.
of like I got 6 grandkids, so we've watched the movie The Trolls so many times. You go into Trollville and it's just dark gloom, doom over there.
Yeah.
And Troll, oh, I mean, sorry, not in Troll, but in the the people that wanted to eat them. Dark world over there. But you go in the troll world, they're singing, dancing, and having a good time. And now,
Yeah,
and let's be honest. There are times you may not want to get up and do it, but this is what I love to do. When you get there, the energy level, that's the key, right? That
yeah,
energy level is just a spark. Having something that you're doing that is value to somebody else's life and is bringing impact. That's a huge one. So
yeah.
so talk to me about, because I saw some of the theater, the dancing. I mean, you touched on so many different areas of dance, and I
Yeah.
like that. I'm just curious to, what was the curiosity to hit so many: jazz, hip hop, house, ballet? I mean, you did it all. What was the Because I think that says a lot about you, the open mind. But
Mhm.
what was the draw to all those different styles?
That's the first time anyone's ever asked me that question, Eric. I like it. I appreciate it. And I've only thought about it a couple of times
Yeah.
because, you're right in that um that is rare. Most people like find a niche, an area of expertise, and they like just do that. And I was more of a generalist, so to speak, and it's a couple of reasons. One, I'm obsessed with music. I adore music. And so I've had this one thought before, like, maybe my dance career was like my love letter to music or something. Like,
Yeah.
if the music is good, I'm a dance to it. That's just, there are no other prerequisites. And then the other thing is, I'm someone who was always preaching about building a sustainable career.
Mhm.
And if you're working as a commercial dancer, meaning like I was not under contract with any one specific dance company, like if I were with Alvin Ailey or a ballet company, like those dancers get a contract, right?
Right.
A lot of times they come with benefits, a salary, all of those kinds of things. And so a commercial dancer is someone who goes from gig to gig. I audition, maybe this project might be a couple of weeks if you include like rehearsal and then the performances. Maybe it's a couple of days, maybe it's a couple months. You just never really know. And
Yeah.
so the draw in terms of learning everything is like, I got to keep a check. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be able to go in and say, I know how to do this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
But I will also say a little bit of it was not intentional. I can't say that it was strategic at all. Because I grew up, the first styles that I learned were ballet, tap, and jazz. Like those are sort of the competitive styles. And then, you grow up in hip hop culture and you're just part of that. I don't think there's a learning of that if you come, if you're in our community. And
Yeah.
then the rest of it's like, oh, I love house. I love the rhythms here. And then it became more about rhythmic styles. And then I went to grad school and it was a lot of ballet and a lot of modern. And so now that's in there. And then, as a professional, I dance with a samba company and I danced with like a Venezuelan band. And so I had to pick up samba, merengue,
Right.
salsa, bachata, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm just out here dancing and trying to make a living.
Yeah. But it says a lot. So we go back
Yeah.
to the ability to adapt, be flexible, learn,
Hmm.
right? Be a
Hmm.
continuous learner, right? And find your what play your role, right?
Yeah.
I think that's big because a lot of people will. You talked about it. You didn't realize that your next chapter had already chosen you. I'll go
Yeah.
here. I had gotten laid off. I was laid off for 352 days. And
Mm.
my expertise was imagery analysis, right? I could look at pictures and tell you what's going on all day long. That was
Mm.
what I like to do. What I really wanted to do was always be a motivational speaker. So when I got laid off, the jobs that I was being offered were to teach, instruct, right? I was like,
Hmm.
nah, that's not me. Nah, I don't want to teach nobody. No, that's not what I want to do. But after that 352 time frame started getting a little long, you're like, all right, okay, I'll take that. And so
Yeah.
you take the job and you find out this is what I'm supposed to be doing because it's preparing me for my motivational speaking. I had to
Yeah.
go learn how to facilitate. I had to stand in front of groups to practice and create lessons. And so I had to start writing different things, right? I was like, oh, wow, let's go. And when I figured that out, dummy, let's go. This is what
No,
you asked for. So I think it's good. You're preparing yourself.
yeah, that's a beautiful story. I mean, definitely, I wouldn't call you a dummy, but we don't know what we don't know, right?
Right, right.
And quite honestly, motivational speaking is teaching, to your point. So it sounds like you just had to get out of your own way, and I think
Yeah,
so many of us, that's the truth. We gotta get out of our own way, resign to sort of trusting that you'll get what's meant for you, you'll get to, even if it doesn't look like the way that you thought it would kind of look like.
yeah,
So, for me, the thing is, it's a running joke, but it's not fully a joke because I'm also kind of serious. I always wanted to work with Beyonce. And so, the joke that I had back then was like, I quit dancing because I never booked Beyonce, which is, not true. And I'll say like, I'm gonna keep speaking it because maybe I'll like, write her book for her or,
yeah,
help her children with their careers or something, right? And so even though it might not look like the way that I thought it would, it's
yeah.
still an opportunity for it to come to pass. So I think it's great that even just having talked to you a couple times, it's clear that you're a teacher. So it's interesting that you were running from that.
Isn't that
Yes.
fun,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
think it always goes back to we ask for something, and because it's not wrapped up into this perfect package that we believe it should be, we don't
Yeah.
realize that it's coming from a different angle, different perspective, a different area where we got to work on our strengths to get to that package that we want, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
can't. But I blocked my blessings so many times. Oh, no, 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 no. That's
That's
not me.
not
I'm
good.
not a teacher. No, no. I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, you got to be open-minded. The man told me, he said, your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. And
Mm.
sometimes I didn't let that parachute open up and I missed out. But when I opened up my parachute and started saying yes to stuff, and thinking, understanding that the gift that you want is not going to be wrapped in the package that you think it should be. Hey, doors start opening up for you.
Hmm. That's real. That's the word. Yeah.
So,
And even if you feel like you've gotten in your way, I believe that, God redeems the time. So
oh,
everything happens when and how it's supposed to, for sure.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. We say you make a mistake, you got to live in it for a little bit, right?
Hmm.
My mom
Hmm.
said, you make your bed, you gotta lie in it. So you
Hmm.
gotta no, what is it? I like the story about the man who's drowning and he got three boats come out there and he keeps telling them no.
God's gonna send, right? And he's like, actually, this is it. This is it. This is your help.
Yeah.
Take it.
So
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about your move from Atlanta to LA. So what inspired that move and how difficult of a move was that for you? I'm just trying to charge something up here.
Oh,
But
good. So I actually moved from Houston to LA. I am originally from Houston and I went to college in Atlanta.
okay.
And what's interesting is when I got to college, my mom my mom said, when you get here, don't major in dance.
Okay.
She knew me, right? And in her mind, she was saying, I done tried to introduce you to all these alien intensives and tried to send you to performing arts high schools. And every time she would introduce those things to me, I'd be like, no, I want I want to go to regular high school. I want to, so I never chose those things. But I still wanted to perform. And on my end of it, it was like I just didn't see dance in the way that I wanted to do it. Right. So if there were, commercial dance training, I don't know, which if there's a little bit more of now, then maybe, maybe. Well, I get to college and I choose these other majors, not intentionally, like without a lot of thought. Just
Yeah.
so happens that I enjoy what I'm studying. So I ended up after a major change or two, I get to psychology, but on the pre-med track. So psychology I loved. The
Yeah.
research, producing a body of work from the research, I still use that to this day.
Okay.
Just a different subject matter. Pre-med, not so much. Like the fact that I had to take 40 hours of science, like I could have been doing something else with those 40 hours of
Right.
my of my college career. But nonetheless, I do all of this. I graduate from college. I'm studying for the MCAT. I had taken it once before, did okay, but not that great, like not well enough to get in any schools that I was quote unquote interested in. So
Right.
I'm studying in the summer and studying for like 8 hours a day because I'm disciplined. I have structure. I grew up dancing, very young age, long hours rehearsing. So I'm fine with that. But I hated every single second
Uh-huh.
of that studying. I
Yeah.
mean, I just loathed it. It was just not interesting to me. And I remember thinking to myself, this was not me. There's no way it could be me. It was definitely a God moment. Like I came here with that some kind of way, even though
Yeah.
no one in my family sort of had imparted that into me. But there was something within me that was like, I can't do this. If
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do something all day, every day for the rest of my life, make a living,
Yeah.
I can't feel this way. I
Gotcha.
need to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
so not long after that, I was kind of like, okay, well, what do I enjoy? And performance is just like, it was just the obvious thing. I think I was watching someone on TV perform and I was like, oh, this isn't that great. If they're doing this, then surely I can be doing
Good
it.
as I am. But
Yeah.
hey, but that's it, right? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
I
see
made
it
a
from a
plan.
different angle.
Exactly. I made a plan. I told my parents, "Hey, I'm moving to LA. I'm gonna be a professional dancer." And they said, "What now? We just spent all this money for you to go to Spelman. And you're gonna do what? What with your life?" Yeah. So I made my plan, saved my coins, and then once they understood that I was serious and I had a plan, even though they didn't fully understand me, my mom said she just didn't know how to help me, and that scared her.
Right.
She drove me to LA herself. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's big. That's a big move because now
Mhm.
you're breaking a cycle, right?
Yeah.
You're breaking a cycle. You're doing something different. You're not going
Yeah.
to school, getting your degree, getting a job, having the benefits and a good salary, getting a house. Now you're taking an entrepreneurial route where
Yeah.
your check's not guaranteed. You don't have no benefits. You know where you gonna live, how you gonna live. And my baby's only 22. She just got
I know,
live
exactly.
by herself. You going under the big city of LA, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh, all the stuff that's
Mhm.
going on in their head. Oh
Mhm.
wow, yeah,
Mhm.
but I applaud that because it takes that risk, right? It takes that first step for somebody to really make to change the generational cycle, right? Somebody has to
Yeah.
break it. You know,
Yeah.
we there's so many people living in the cycle today and they don't even realize it. They just think that this is what I'm supposed to do. My parents
Mhm.
did it, my grandparents did it. I'm gonna teach my
Mhm.
kids to do it. And it's
Yeah.
a little bit of it is their fear,
Yeah.
right? I I know this is a known. This is a given. If I go to school, I can get a job getting paid this amount of money in this industry. I know this is going to be good. I don't know what it's like to go out here and take a risk and to, you know, be somebody who's a freelance, right? Or
Yeah.
working as a contractor some this week and working on, it's wherever. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's risk taking. I don't know what it's like to. I don't want my child to go audition. This is why I worked hard, right? To do
Mhm.
this. So I applaud that because it takes a lot. And so when you look at the change that you made, how
Mhm.
long do you think that you had the conversation? Well, if you go back to work, you won't have these problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's always that Monday morning quarterback that goes, well, I'm having this problem right now. Well, if you go get that job that you were offered,
Yeah. Here's the thing. I I didn't here's the other thing. I also worked, right? So I always had these just jobs where I was doing the things so that I could pay my bills, but I was also auditioning.
Mhm.
And that's definitely an option for people to, have your where you're working now, but still be planning for the thing that you actually want to do. For
Yeah,
me, it took me a little while to find the communities where I was supposed to be in LA. So when I first got there, I think I started working at the bank first and I worked there a couple of years, but I didn't like any of it. And so the same token, I'm like, okay, taking dance classes, trying to figure out who's who, still performing and choreographing a little bit, teaching a lot of dance
yeah,
until finally I got an agent probably about a year and a half, 2 years in, maybe something like that. And it was then that I sort of had to learn how to be pursuing a professional dance career. Just
right,
like I'm sure people have to learn how to be building a business on the side or, moonlighting as an entrepreneur. But for me, what that looked like was I finally learned that I needed to work overnight.
yeah,
So I was working at a hotel in Beverly Hills, actually,
okay,
overnight doing night audit, which is brutal. That's tough work. So from like 10 to 7 or 11 to 7, one of those two. And then I would often have auditions during the day. So
okay,
that's Monday through Friday, because this is the trade, this is the industry.
yeah,
So it's not like when you work regionally in like a Houston or Dallas or anywhere else where it's not um, a major trade of the city. Like, and so most of the folks in these regional cities, they have regular jobs and then they're doing this entertainment thing on the side.
yeah,
There Monday, like business hours, because this is their business,
right,
right? So you have to be there, auditioning, be on, be available. And then I might get a couple hours of sleep and then I would have to go to class because that's where the networking took place.
got you.
So think the choreographers who are choreographing for Beyonce's and movies and all of these things, right? All the artists and all the movies, they're teaching class. And so you got to go there so they can see you move regularly, so they
Yeah,
can know who you are, so that when you get to the audition, they're like, I already know what this
yeah,
person can do, right? So that's the cycle, that's the game. It took me a couple years to figure that out. So I did have the stability, to your point, of the 9 to 5, but
okay,
I was also doing this other thing and it was exhausting and I worked myself into burnout. And then that's what made me almost want to quit, and basically kind of did quit and then move back
yeah,
to Texas. But it's, yeah, for me, it was the reverse. I couldn't wait to get to the moment where it was the only thing I did
yeah,
and I didn't have to have this other job too.
got you. I think
Mhm.
that's cool. So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
So you teach now. What's the passion about teaching? You work with all ages, correct?
So now I think my teaching is primarily through, like, coaching or writing,
Okay.
um, or, like, I might do career workshops for university programs or something like that. But I
Well,
think where you're going is, like, why do I like to teach,
yeah, why
maybe?
do you coach? What is it about coaching and teaching that really hit your heart?
It's something about, I can tell you when I was a dance educator, I just love the transformation. So that's probably the best I can say across the board, teaching, writing, and even coaching. As a dance educator, when I was teaching in these college campuses, not everyone that I taught was a dance major. So I had tons of students or classes where the students were taking dance as an elective. They're like, "Oh, this hip hop class, let me take it. It ought to be fun."
Right.
And so I always knew in those classes, for example, like the technique or the skill of movement wasn't the thing that was going to benefit them the most. What
Gotcha.
was going to benefit them was what they learned from by learning dance for the
Yeah.
rest of their life. So I taught them things like, or instilled in them things like overcoming their fear of failure.
Mhm.
So if they are doing this movement and they mess up, it's not the mistake that matters. I'm always going to give you points, award you, praise you for how you recovered.
Yeah.
And so it was me enforcing things like that. Or you'd be so surprised when people come and take these dance classes, how they're afraid to move their bodies and they're in their head and who's
Yeah.
looking at me. So,
Yeah.
sort of like to see someone come in my class at the beginning of a semester, like, sort of head down, shoulders down, let me
Yeah.
sneak, be in the back,
Right.
let me shrink back to be at the end of the semester being strong and wrong, as I like to say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, even if they're forgetting every step of the movement, they're
Yeah.
just not quitting, and they don't care if it's all wrong, but they just didn't stop.
Yeah.
That can make me wanna cry. That's
Yeah.
that's that's some beautiful stuff right there. Like, that means that they have trusted themselves now. That
Right.
means that when they move throughout life, they're gonna remember, hopefully, "Oh, this is just a mistake. How can I pivot? How can I recover? How can I move on?" And that, I think, is what really matters. So the same is true, I think, when no matter what I'm teaching, it's like whatever that transformation is to
Yeah.
help people. I like to say, I wanna help people experience more of themselves and more of God, so, like, how can you find that trust, that faith, that light, to
Yeah.
live a life that, feels good to you?
Yeah. That aha moment, right? Hey, I'm stronger than what I thought I was, right?
Yeah.
I'm more of a risk taker than what I thought I was.
Yeah.
And then people ain't paying attention to me. or,
Exactly.
or they messing up just like I am. They just look
Exactly.
more confident about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a confidence builder. I remember when I was a little bit more overweight than what I am now, but I decided I was going to start working out because I had stopped working out, and I said, well, I'm going to do insanity. You familiar with insanity?
Mhm, a little bit. Mhm.
Oh my God! I'm an athlete. I used to be. I used to do this. I can do this, no problem. And I started doing insanity, and I got out there and they working out, they hitting all through the workout. They moving, and moving. I'm like, oh, right. And I'm trying to go. I said, man, I had to quit. And then I realized, hey man, look, they stopped too, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
He's stopping and walking around because he's trying to catch his breath, right?
Mhm.
There's different tricks to the trade. So you don't be ashamed of your game. Stop if you need to stop and keep it moving. But what the mindset was, okay, I'm gonna go as far as I can and I'll stop. And I'm gonna keep going as far as I can until I, get further along than what I was. And so the mindset had to become to challenge yourself. And so I like that they never quit. They keep coming
Mhm.
back. They challenge themselves. They get better, and they go from being in the back to now they're fighting for space up in the front. I like.
Yeah, exactly, and from not saying anything to me being like, "Y'all have got to stop talking, like, stop talking in the class," right? So, yeah, just to see people open up,
Mhm.
and trust themselves more and believe in themselves more, and, that's how you live a life, I think, that you're proud of. What about for you, though? When you were teaching, what's the thing that was your favorite?
I love it. So I've coached little league football, high school football, baseball. I've played sports all my life, and there's nothing better than to see the light go off in a person's eyes and go, "Oh, I got
Mm,
it." And then
mhm.
not only do they say I got it, but their actions show that they got it. And they're out on the field and they're understanding their responsibility. They're fielding the ball right, or that one moment they make that great swing and they hit the ball and they're like, that for me is the key, because they've struggled through it. So what people don't realize is when you start taking lessons or you start learning something, you're going to get worse than what you already are because
Yeah.
you're trying to go from what you've learned to the right way, and it's all messed up. But when
Mhm.
it finally starts clicking for you and you start hitting the ball more or you're throwing the ball better, it's just like, I got it. And then you do it in a game. Oh man, it's a beautiful thing. But even in your personal life, we think about our abilities. Like I told you, I was blocking my blessings for many, many years. No, it's not me, not me. And then when you realize, hey, I did it. It didn't hurt, and I
Mhm.
loved it. And that's
Mhm.
for me, I think the adults in us, we have that fear of failure, and
Yeah.
we're no longer dreaming. We're not as courageous as we were when we were little. We fell off the bike and we got back on and started riding. As an adult, we failed and like, oh, it doesn't work. And we don't
Yeah.
try again. But if you can
Yeah.
get that adult to try, and you get them to keep moving forward and you have that little bitty shifts, right? Those little victories are what lead to momentum shifts. And so we can get them to do that. I think that's the part for me. I enjoy that part.
Mhm.
That's big.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and you're right. I couldn't agree more that those small shifts, those small decisions lead to like one big shift. I was even just sort of either writing about this recently or telling one of my clients about this, that it's just literally like the life that we currently live is the total of choices we've made up until this point.
Yeah.
Right? And so to shift the momentum, to make the change, you just have to start making choices towards the thing that you want next. And so even if it's a small choice, even if you made that small choice towards the new thing, for 5 days in a row, and then, you sort of like, I didn't make that choice this next day. But you can continue making the choices towards who you want to become and the life you want to live. It's really that simple. And it's the overcoming the fear and the mental blocks and all of that to do it that I think most people get stuck behind.
Yeah, and I think part of the fear is you're saying, I want to accomplish this. I want to be whether a great entrepreneur, a
Mhm.
dancer, business person, whatever, right? What have you,
Mhm.
successful agent, whatever. And you look at it and go, this is what I want to be. And then you don't even think about the baby steps that you need to get over the hump, to get you over the
Mhm.
hump. And you start thinking about that overall picture and then you go, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it's overwhelming. I can't do it. That's too much. And so you
Yeah.
don't do anything. So what is it? Analysis, paralysis through analysis,
Paralysis.
right?
Yep.
And that's what
Yep.
ends up happening to most people. Oh, it's never going to happen for me. I can't leave my job and do that, or I can't start a side hustle and do that. I don't have enough time. So I think if you look at the baby steps that we have to
Mhm.
take first, right? If you're on the job day in and day out, you're spending 8 to 12 hours. Like for me, I was working an 8 hour job and then working a 12 hour, not 12 hour, 8 hour job, and then four
Mhm.
more hours. So 12 hours a day I'm putting in. So the question became, well, if I'm going to work out, where am I going to work out? I can't work out when I come home because I'm going to be dead dog tired. So I had to get up earlier in the morning, sacrifice.
Mhm.
So you make that sacrifice, you start working out, you start getting the results. All right, cool. It's a part of my life now. I'm getting some victories. Let's go. Keep it moving. So then you go, so now I'm working out, I'm working my two jobs. I really want to become this motivational speaker. How do I go about doing that? I got to take some classes. I got to do this, this, and this. Where am I going to get that time in? Well, after I do my workout, my 8 hour job, my 4 hour job, and come home, I'm gonna have to start taking some classes. So I'm gonna have to stay up a little bit late. Sacrifices, right? So
Mhm.
getting people to realize that if you want it bad enough, you got to put the work in and do it. You can't just
Mhm.
say I want to do it or say this is what I want to do and expect it to happen for you. So
Yeah, it won't happen through magic. And something else you said is really key, that people look at the big picture and they look at where they are and they're like, oh, get overwhelmed. Like, I don't even know where to start. I might as well not start.
Yeah.
And I used to have I had a leader who's now a dear friend of mine who used to say to me, because I'm the same way, you're trying to boil the ocean. You're trying to do too much.
Ooh,
You
I
know what I
love
mean?
that.
And she'd be like, you just need to like reel it in and
Yeah.
let's just think about like the first thing. Like, can we break this up into smaller parts and just do the first thing? And it's
Yeah.
interesting because I know how to make changes in my life, right?
Yeah.
And I also get stuck in this part where I zoom out. Strategy is like one of my strengths, is my top strength from according to my assessment. And so
Yeah.
I'm always like looking at the big picture, looking for the patterns, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes when you do that and you're like, okay, now I know that this is the biggest vision and how are we going to do all of that? It can sort of get in the way of just like even seeing the smallest tree or the smallest step in front of you. So I guess I'm saying that to say I understand that,
Yeah.
and there's still a way for you to move forward.
My name is Eric Collier. I'm a veteran of the United States Army and Navy. I'm a 2-time Amazon International best-selling co-author, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I love helping people, and I love coaching people. And I've done that successfully for over 20 years because I really want to see people win. And there is no greater feeling of joy than to witness someone who has just experienced that aha moment go on and change their lives and start doing what they thought was impossible and turning it into what is possible for them. So my goal, my mission each week is to simply do this: help improve lives. That's all I want to do. Help you improve your life because you deserve to live in the greatness that is you. Now, every Friday, I want you to be ready. I want you to be ready for either an interview of these incredible people, a solo episode with myself, or maybe a remix of multiple interviews of these incredible, inspiring people. Begin. The goal is simply to help improve lives, and we're going to leave you with some nuggets for success. It's going to help you create that momentum shift that's going to really change your life. I'm really grateful to have you join me. I'm looking forward to having your feedback and helping to improve the show. And the one thing I'm really grateful about is I get to hear your stories of how you created that momentum shift that changed your life. So get ready, because the momentum shift is what you've been waiting for.
By just focusing on, the small thing. Maybe it's managing your time, making more room for the thing that you want, now. Maybe it's just doing a little research. Maybe it's asking for help. Like, whatever it is, there is something that you can do to move towards what you really want.
Oh yeah. And you hit something big right there. Asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
Won't ask for help, right? And that's a huge, man. You ask for help. It's okay. If you're going to complain about what you're going through, might as well ask somebody for help, right?
Yeah.
Ask for help. Just, you never know. I found that, I think we talked about it before. I'm big on this connection thing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
understand this puzzle that we're trying to put together with no pretty pattern, picture, or design. We got to put it together, but it starts with connecting us. But once we
Yeah.
connect us, then we can start connecting to those people around us who we can partner with, who we can help, all these different things, who we can connect to other people. And it's just like this infinite puzzle that ends up being, right? So I think
Yeah.
it's important to really connect with other people, ask questions, ask for help. Hey, how can I help you? What's the challenge you're facing right now? You never know. Or hey, do you know anybody that is looking for a consultant? You
Mm-hmm.
never know, right? Hey, I'm
Mm-hmm.
working with kids. Do you know anybody who's got an organization where I can come in and mentor and coach? You never know. So
Yeah.
ask. You never know, right? And
That's
hey,
right.
look, I'm struggling with this. Do you know anybody who can coach me? And I'm gonna say, yes, Shaté Hayes.
Please do. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome, coach. I love your energy. So let me ask you this. You're familiar with, you've been a psychologist, you're familiar with Myers-Briggs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a disc coach, right? A disc facilitator. And so what's your Myers-Briggs style?
Myers-Briggs, which I don't pay much attention to, I believe is INTJ. And
Okay.
my disc profile, I'm an SC.
Oh,
And
really?
then and then I love, my favorite strengths assessment is Gallup. I love the Strength Finders test because I think Yeah, it was a game changer for me, so it's a favorite of mine. But I really, really, really like disc too. Like just even being able to recognize, a nonprofit that I worked at before I went out into business for myself. It was like org wide. We all did disc assessments, and then we sort of like knew what the disc profiles of our team members were. And I found it really, really fruitful. So I like it a lot.
It helps with communicating, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there trying to figure out you. So I'm an SI with the with the
Okay.
with the D unique trait, right? D as
Okay.
action is a new unique trait, and so
Mm-hmm.
I work with one of my coworkers is a C, straight C. So so I found I start talking to her about my ideas. Look, this is what I want to do here. I think this is going to be really great, and she's sitting over there like,
What's
hmm.
the day to say?
Yeah, yeah. This doesn't even make sense. I don't know how you're gonna pull that one off. And you're like, no, no, really, really, you're trying to get her to see. She's seeing step by
Mhm.
step the process, right?
Mhm.
This doesn't sound right. Where do I fit in with this? Because I'm a C. I'm not trying to get up in front of an audience and do this. I'm gonna be over here, right? So
Yeah.
it's really helped us out, and it's big. So I think being self-aware, that self-awareness piece is something that people have to take a look at
Mhm.
and really find out who you are, because especially with communicating, it'll help you out tremendously. Like you said, that team environment got better, improved, right? The
Mhm.
communication and all that stuff is big. Because now you wouldn't sit there arguing. She don't even know what she's talking about. I don't even know. You can motivate and inspire your team. Not only that,
Yeah.
you make them feel a little bit more comfortable when you have an idea that's overwhelming to them, because you can break it down like they want to. So I like
Mhm.
that. I had to ask.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
Yeah. So where do you want to take career steward and your choreography? Where do you want to take your coaching?
It's interesting. You said choreography just now, and then at the top of the show, you said I'm still a dancer, and I'm not taking that lightly. I know it's not intentional, but it's interesting because lately, people have been asking me about dance again. They've been
Uh,
asking me, "Oh, are you going to teach again? Are you going to do this again?" And I'm just taking it as signals from God, like to maybe pay attention to something that I thought was dead. My love for dance will never go away. I still dance for fun. I still do Chicago stepping. I love that. And I even some of my friends earlier this year, we got together and we were just doing dance classes just for, the aunties, as we called it.
right.
And that's fun, but I thought, maybe that's it. But it seems like it keeps coming up, for me lately. So I'm gonna put a pin in that and take this as another seed, Maybe I need to get out of my own way. I'll have to do some praying about it.
Yeah,
But in
yeah,
terms of career steward, what I'd love to have happen is, I have in the past I built this site called The Working Dancer, and it's tons of blog posts and podcast episodes and just a lot of content on how to build a sustainable dance career. And then I put all like the articles that I wrote for Dance Magazine, Point, Dance Business Weekly, like all in this kind of one hub. And it's a place where dancers could go to figure out what they, how to build their careers. And that still exists. It's just shatehayes.com/blog instead of, the working dancer. But I'd like Career Steward to be sort of like a V2 of that. I want to have just like a repository of information and inspiration for people to live their purpose and love their work.
yeah,
So more blog posts, more
yeah,
podcast episodes, more podcasts like these, making sure I'm sharing them and giving people like career insight, inspiration from it. I'd love to help. Yeah, I guess the thing that I can say is I just want to help more people love their work.
yeah,
The way that that's looking recently is a lot more creators are coming to me saying, "Hey, I've been doing this 9 to 5 kind of gig. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to go back into work on my own. What does that look like? What can I do?" And
yeah,
so that is basically where I focus my coaching now. But then I guess I've been kind of calling myself lately like the consultant's consultant, right? I'm also offering like my content strategy and um uh my support to organizations, helping them tell their stories and then just in turn helping professionals figure out how to do the same thing for their body of work. So I just want to keep growing that. The more people who are out there like with their lights on in terms of their careers and not hating their work and feeling good about what they're doing because what they're doing is not only adding to their personal families like generational wealth and health, but they're out there serving other people. I think that's like some really powerful stuff. And I just like to be a part of that.
I like it. So back to I'm bringing dancing back into this again. Had an idea that I had to bring it. So I think I saw something where you had fitness as fitness choreography as well, or something.
I
Fitness.
taught a little dance fitness class once before. Yeah.
So my question would be: so we have people who are sitting at desks all day long, right?
Hmm.
And could that be part of their coaching and wellness, is maybe have a dance class to kind of get them out of their norm, be able to see how their mind opens up when they're focusing on something, learning something different. I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm just throwing something out there because I like to see different things. I'm just throwing that out
I
there.
mean, I appreciate that thought. I'm not even mad at it because I mean, I'll just add it to the bank of the things I need to reflect on. Because, like I said, when people have brought up, like, are you going to dance anymore? I'm like, well, what could that be? Or even when I've had conversations like these and people are like, oh, you should have a talk and maybe you'll have dance be a part of it. And I'm like, I don't even know what that looks like. So do I like move myself before I start talking? And if I do, am I going to be out of breath? Do I teach
Yeah.
people how to do something while, like, I don't know, but all ideas are welcome. So I appreciate you planting another seed.
I'm thinking, you got to get them that mental block, right? Focusing on
Yeah.
them, that health and wellness piece, with identifying some of the things that could be blocking them while they're working it out. I'm
Hmm.
throwing
Hmm.
stuff out there. You never know.
Yeah.
I
Getting ideas moving through your body. You might be onto something there, Eric. I'm here for
had,
it.
I had an instructor that used to tell me, he said, if it's stupid, but it works, it ain't stupid. So
That's a good point. That's a good point.
if it's
Yeah.
crazy, but it ain't crazy, then it's cool. It works, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Sometimes crazy helps. So it's all good. So what are some things you got coming up next?
In terms of next, I think it's just more career steward. I'm still pretty early on. So I left my corporate career officially at the top of this year, 2024, at the time of recording this. And so I've only been like 7, 8 months in now at this point. And so I'd like to get it to a place where, the dream of the resource on careersteward.co is actually a reality. And so all of that content is actually being built right now. So I look forward to the day where it's out there,
Yeah.
where there'll be like articles on purpose and on, income, like salary and on like trusting yourself. And I kind of like this idea of, I'm going to say it, how people don't like to share their ideas because they think somebody's going to steal it, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Right.
Um,
You can't do
I
it like
kind
I don't do it.
of, exactly. I kind of like the idea of a devotional in some kind of way that's like purpose focused. Yeah, I just want to do some more of that kind of stuff. Maybe writing a little bit more, just like helping more people tell their stories and then also telling stories to help people like live their lives
Like, that's cool.
in a richer,
So
yeah.
you mentioned it twice at the top of the year, you left your job. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you made that people can expect to face or when they leave their job? And let's say,
Yeah.
if some of the challenges the mental struggles they may have. Can you talk a little bit about that? Just kind of prepare them, say, hey, but you can still get through it.
Yeah. So I would say even the same is true when I transitioned from my dance career, even though I knew what I was ready to move towards, the moving towards that is often a little murky. There's a middle phase that, there is no such thing as far as I've seen or lived
Yeah.
that, and maybe there's an exception to every rule where you decide to take a leap of faith and then you take the leap and then you just nail the landing. And then it's just ta-da, I'm here. And now I'm a 7-figure business owner and I did it.
More
No.
miles of business.
It's not that at all. So what actually happens is you make the choice. That's the first step. And it's often one of the hardest steps. And you know how they say when you get your foot in the door, that's when the actual work begins. It's the same way with this type of transition. So you're like, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to replace my income and do something different. What I did back in the day was just quit without a backup plan. And so I don't recommend that because it took me like a year to figure out what was next. What I did in this season was prepare a little bit better. And so I sort of had a plan A, B, and C in that, okay, maybe I can't replace my income, my full income immediately, but
Yeah.
is there something that I can do that will at least take care of all of my bills and something that I enjoy? And so I started having conversations around, who needs help doing what? And I found contract work to like support my exit. And then the mindset starts to be like, okay, I have this business. Now what is it? Because more often than not, what you're starting out as, it sort of becomes something different because you got to learn what who your market is, learn
Right.
what they actually want,
Yeah.
learn how to like say what they need in their terms. Like there's all this learning that sort of takes place. And I think it's going to be important to have some sort of if you have financial security while you're figuring all of that out, the less likely you will be to say, I'm gonna just go back and get a 9 to 5. So you need, for me, I was like, okay, do I have credit cards? What's my retirement? What's my 401k? Like, what can I do to make sure that when this business just feels like it's crickets and nobody's taking me up on it, I have something to hold me over because that is a requirement. It's like everyone has to go through those
Yeah.
kind of crawl before you walk stages of figuring out what it is. Now, if you have a coach, shameless plug, a consultant, someone that can help you, then it becomes easier. And that's exactly what I did. I found programs to invest in so I can learn, okay, like this could be a way that I market my business. This is maybe how I talk about it. Like, so I invested in myself so that I could sort of speed up that learning curve. But there is no escaping the sort of middle phase where you're still trying to get clarity. And here's the thing that a lot of people do: they sit back and try to figure out all the clarity, get all the clarity in a planning stage. So
Right.
while they're on the job, they're like, let me plan out all the things that are going to happen, and they think it's going to happen that way. And actually, the path is made by walking. There is no just planning, and then when you step out, it's going to go 100% that way. That's not how it happens. You have to. The only way it becomes clearer and becomes something is if you start taking action. So
There you go.
yeah.
I like it. And like, and so if they needed a coach, where would they go?
Well, honestly, I have some resources. I have this resource of 40 different sources where you can find contract work. And then I've got like how to find your career match, one of those guides. And then I just send my people like career inspiration every weekday. You can get all of that at lightmycareermatch.com. Um, and so that's a really easy way to kind of get plugged in. And then, I'm on the internet, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Shaté Hayes, or then Career Steward, at Career Steward, all the places. So LinkedIn, Facebook, and IG.
Any books or anything you want to promote?
Oh, that's another seed you plant in there. It's like maybe, maybe someday, maybe the devotion will be the next one.
Cool
Yeah.
deal. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Any last words for them?
I mean, this has been a really good conversation. You're so good. I always enjoy our chats. I would just say you can is the final thing. I think we talked the last time. I got to bring it back up. My grandmother saying nothing beats a failure but a try.
Go.
And it there is like no reason in today's day and age
Mhm.
that any of us should be hating our jobs or
Yeah.
not living the life that we desire to live. If you think about, there's this book called Black Fortunes, I think, and it's about like the first 6 Black millionaires back in like 1800s. Like, so Madam C.J. Walker, obviously, and then, a number of other folks. And if they made it to 7 figures
Yeah, the
in
challenge.
that time, there literally is no excuse for us. And so that tells me, and I don't want to make small of anyone's very real circumstances. So maybe there is, if you're caregiving for a family member, or like there could be very extreme circumstances. But for those of us where it is just a mindset thing, a mental block,
Yeah.
Like, you sort of got to weigh out at a certain point. I tell my clients this, at a certain point, you can only you can decide if you are more scared of staying stuck in the same place in this life that you're not lit up about,
Yeah.
or are you more scared of getting to the end of your life and not having gone after the thing that you really want?
Mm.
And so you have to decide that.
Life of regret. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't want to do that.
Exactly. Exactly. I am more scared of not going after it than I am of taking a leap and just risking, a couple setbacks. But eventually you'll get there. Like, no matter how many steps, that's the thing. That's the last thought. This is uncovering a lot of things.
Oh,
My
good.
dance people often ask me, like, what about my dance career do I still use? And one of the things that has helped me the most is the rejection. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many auditions I tanked. I remember my very first audition in LA. I got in there and acted like I had not just danced for the past 20 years of my life. It
Right.
was awful. I choked. I left crying. Right, it was awful. And then I got better, and then I would choke again and cry again. So that rejection, showing up, bearing your heart, maybe doing it well, maybe not, and then somebody being like, thanks for coming. Like,
Yeah.
that sort of resilience
Next.
is exactly. That's the only way you get to something, is you just keep knocking on doors. There is no way around it. And so I think a lot of people just need to get their reps in when it comes to rejection and resilience, because then, it'll be more bearable, or I don't want to say easier, because there'll still be challenges, but you can get to the thing that you really, really want when you first give yourself permission, and then two, keep knocking.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I think we go back to you had your grandmother's quote. My mom's quote is what you do in the dark will soon come to light, right? And
Mm,
so, you're talking about that life of regret. And the longer you wait, you never know when your time is coming. But
mm,
sooner or later, today is the future we looked at 5 years ago, right?
yeah.
Guess what? Tomorrow, we're gonna have to start going to work unless we're gonna have the same future 5 years from now, right? And so you
Mhm.
gotta put some work in, get some changes that we want. So I applaud you for everything that you're doing. I love your story.
Thank
I'm so
you.
happy to get into here to talk to you again because the energy is always up and I love it. And so I want you to keep doing what you're doing because you truly are a momentum shifter. And thank you for sharing with us today. Um, it's great.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Momentum Shift, the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. A show designed to get you inspired, get you moving, because we want you to live in what you once believed to be impossible. So, thank you for joining us today. Until next week, always keep pushing because nobody's going to do it for you. Take care.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.